Alrighty, everybody, it is currently Friday, October 24th, 2025, and I'm coming at you live from the hell on earth that is the United Kingdom. Not actually. Not actually in the United Kingdom. I don't think I would ever go there. But I am in Kansas right now, and it's a very gray day. Overall, very gray. Pretty good day for me, actually. Yesterday, when it was nice and sunny and bright out, that was a pretty shitty day for me. I don't know. I was just in a funk. My fucking gold order got canceled. And then I placed another one saying that I would wire them the money. And then I realized I can't wire money. My bank account, like, won't allow it. Or I have to get a fucking document notarized to wire money. It's fucking insane. I was like looking it up. I was like, how do I wire money from, this and this type of bank? And it was like, first you got to sign this agreement. And I was like, all right, we're just dealing with a classic, put your initials here, answer a couple security questions. No, this shit literally at the bottom of the page where I was supposed to sign was like, and here's where your fucking notary public signs. Fuck, dude. And it's like, I know that doesn't do anything. I know having a fucking, some old dweeb there, some old dude who was around before autism was an official diagnosis, you know what I mean? Put a stamp there. I know that doesn't fucking decrease fraud at all, dude. People are losing probably more money than they ever have just based off fraud. Now, part of that's probably just the technology situation, dude, because everyone makes fun of old people for falling for AI, dude. We're all going to be falling for AI soon. Literally. And I know some people are going to be like, well, these super advanced AI things, they're still going to have little details in there. So then this other thing will scan it and it'll tell me whether it's AI or not. And it's like, well, what if the other fucking thing also is in on the whole deal? What if one company's making, the fake AI videos, and then the thing that scans those fake AI videos to see if they're, real or not, what if that thing is owned by maybe the same company or another company who's in cahoots with that company, dude? I think we're all getting tricked by AI. I think it's going to happen no matter what. The only way around it is to make your own AI, dude. And I think you can. I think I saw a video one time of some dude who successfully made his own artificial intelligence. Or maybe, now that I'm thinking about it, I think that was just the movie Chappie. I think, once again, I confused a movie with something I saw on the internet, which, I mean, honestly, both of those things are just as real, dude. Everything you see on the internet could be fully fake, and I'm not even talking about AI at this point. It could just be someone, doing some claymation or some shit like that. Not claymation, but you fucking know what you know what I mean. It could just be some guy who's like, I'm programming my own AI, when in reality he just Googled like a YouTube video of someone else, putting all the numbers into the database or however the fuck programming works. And then he was like playing that and he was like, look at my computer, I'm programming. Blah, blah, blah. So it could be complete bullshit. And once again, I do think I'm just remembering the movie Chappie, which is a great fucking movie. That movie's fucking fantastic. That's the only movie I think I've ever watched in my life where I like got not I guess got it. Yeah, I guess that's how I'd put it, because I've enjoyed other movies and I've like seen the messages and themes of other movies, but with Chappie, that was the only one where I was like, "Oh my god, I get it. I understand where they're coming from. I understand kind of the, I guess, analogy of what's going on here." Only movie I ever watched where I understood that at all, and I was probably wrong about it. That's the other thing. I probably was wrong about it. Like, when I recently did that Hills Like White Elephants episode, I didn't get any of that at all. I didn't get like the symbolism of how the train station is like the comfort or like the niceties or the whatever, them ignoring the problem in the outside with the big bright sun. That was the problem beaten down at them. I didn't understand that at all. I also didn't read the story. that's that's the other thing about it. I did not read it. I read like the plot synopsis for it, but even in the synopsis, I was like, they're just, I guess Hemingway just wanted to put them at a train station for some reason. That's that was my only thought. I was like, who gives a shit if they're at a train station or not? Tell me what these two motherfuckers are doing. And that's how I feel about a lot of things. Or a lot of like media. I guess, which I hate people who say media. Media literacy, to me as a term, is one of the most annoying fucking things on it. We're losing media literacy. Did we ever fucking have it in the first place, dude? Did we ever have the media literacy in the first place? Or are you just making shit up to sound smart? Because I don't think we had it at all. People are going, well, back in the day, people were educated. But the biggest fucking movie in the 80s was Top Gun. It's literally military government propaganda about killing the communists. That was the biggest movie back then. And you go back 70s, 60s, or even like the 40s. It was all just like John Wayne, just dumb shit like that, dude. The biggest movie of all time is like the first Avatar movie, which I really like that movie, but it's not about anything. It's just copy and paste where colonization is bad. That's what that movie is about. And so I don't think we ever had the media literacy in the first place, is the point I'm trying to make, dude. Because you look at all these big ass movies, and I think it's also just a made up term as a whole. Well, you don't understand it because you don't have media literacy. And it's like, dude, sorry, I don't want to fucking take Cornell notes while I'm watching The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly or whatever. Sorry, I'm not watching Inglorious Bastards with a fucking Word doc and a bundle of highlighters. Sorry, I'm not doing that. And I'm not ever going to do that. I'm not ever going to watch some fucking movie and be like, huh, what's the message? But if it comes to me, it comes to me, dude. I've been learning about Taoism. That's the theme of, or that's the subject for the regular episode this week, dude. Spoiler alert. We got to go with the fucking flow, dude. I'm not going to sit there. The universe has a natural order to it. This is all Taoism. And you're supposed to follow that order. That's how you be happy and, do heaven and all that bullshit. And I just think the universe is not telling me to sit down, kick my feet up, turn on fucking High School Musical 3 or whatever, and whip out the fucking, the legal pad. Like I'm Rust in True Detective, dude. I don't think that's what the universe is telling me to do. And I could be wrong. And I don't know exactly what the universe is telling me to do. But once again, we'll talk about this in Taoism. The universe is not telling me to fucking watch whatever fucking movie, whatever shit ass movie. It's not telling me to watch that with a fucking Sharpie out, like writing on my skin like I'm in Memento or something, being like, I gotta remember this. I gotta remember it for my media literacy. You understand it? Oh, you read Blood Meridian and you didn't understand it was actually about gender binary? No, I didn't. It was a fucking movie, or it was a book about people beating other people to death. That's what the book was about. All right, I don't give a shit about the hidden message in Blood Meridian. The obvious message is probably more of an important one. And the obvious message in Blood Meridian is if you beat people to death, you might get beat to death too. All right? Spoiler alert, that's the fucking message in Blood Meridian. Okay? It's actually an allegory for the Old West. No, it's not an allegory. It's a literal story about a guy taking a baby and bashing it to death against a rock, dude. That's what the fucking story is about. I just think, and it's all the same, all this media literacy, social whatever the new fucking thing is, or the right has it too. It's a little bit harder to pin down with the right. They're a little bit more nebulous about it. But both sides have it, and it's all just the same bullshit of just, you don't understand. Yeah. I'm not gonna fucking understand everything, dude. I don't need to understand the deeper fucking message behind, Mulholland Drive or whatever to function in life. It doesn't matter. And it's not even that these people actually care that you understand it. They just want to be smarter than you. That's all it is. It's all just these people wanting to be smarter or, morally superior or whatever it is. It's them wanting to be better than you. Which, look, I understand that. I want to be better than other people too. But at the end of the day, I'm kind of a little bit more realistic about it. And I look at myself in the mirror and I go, nah. That's the ultimate conclusion that I come to. I go to take a shit and it's just farts. And then after taking that fart shit, I look at myself in the mirror and I go, yeah, you're not better than anyone else. And really no one is, dude, because at the end of the day, everyone's taking fart shits. Everyone every once in a while. Everyone's eating, whatever shitty food from the cafeteria or McDonald's or whatever, and it's fucking up their stomach. And then they're like, well, I think I got to take a shit now. And then they go to take that shit, and they're going to be like, this is going to be so explosive, and it's going to feel so good when it comes out of me, and I'm going to feel 100 pounds lighter. And then they just fart on the toilet for 15 minutes. Okay? That is everyone. Everyone does that. And I think, you know, there's a few people that are worse than everyone else, but I don't think there's a ton of people out there that are better than anyone else. I think there are a lot more people that are worse than there are people who are better. And but obviously no one wants to be worse, so you never see that. You never see people going online being like, dude, I'm a real fucking I'm a real piece of shit, dude. My mom's tried to kick me out of the house 18 times and I just refuse to leave, dude. Last time I barricaded myself in there like a fucking schizophrenic hiding from a SWAT team. You never see anyone going on social media and doing that. All you see is people being like, Trump's a fucking dictator and you don't understand. Or fucking people being like, I'm going to get raptured and you're not going to get raptured because you don't fucking, believe in Jesus and go to a fake church once a week. You never see the opposite of that, of people being like, yeah, dude, looking back at it, I'm 100% going down south. You know what I mean? And I'm not talking Mexico way. I'm talking to hell. That's the you know you never saw anyone during the whole rapture thing being like, yeah, I'm not going up with you guys. Like you just didn't see that. You never saw someone really take a look in the mirror and go, does God fuck with me being up there? And then coming to the conclusion that no, he doesn't fuck with you being up there. You didn't see that because everyone just wants to be better. And maybe there's a few people out there that want to be worse, but I just think there's almost no people out there that just want to be fine, and actually fine, right? Like you hear some people being like, yeah, I'm a fucking whatever. I'm just like a loser piece of shit or whatever. But I think ultimately those people want to be better than other people. But you just never see someone that's just like, yeah, I'm kind of the same as everyone else. And there's just not that much about me that makes me like inherently a good person. There's things about you that maybe make you a unique person, but you never see anyone out there being like, yeah, dude, I just think most people are just kind of okay. Like, and once again, this comes to the extremes, right? Where you have these people, being like, all humans are inherently good, and we're all good, and deep down inside, there's something good about everyone. And then you see the people out there that are kind of, the pessimists about it, and they're like, humanity's inherently evil. We're a scourge on the earth. It would be better if we didn't exist in the first place. And you almost never see anyone being like, yeah, dude, I don't, like, most people are decent. Not like good, not like super good people, but most people are like decent, and then you got a few shitty ones out there, which that's kind of the reality of the situation. The reality of the situation is most people are decent, fine, but then you got a few really bad ones, and they're just dominating, dude. It's the bad people are going on a fucking, and this isn't at any political side or even really religion. But yeah, they're dominating the game right now. They're going fucking crazy. God must be watching this shit like, God, I told you exactly what to do. And I'm not a Christian, but if God is real and if he's up there, he's like, I gave you a fucking book, dude. The book isn't even that long. Infinite Jest is longer than this book. And you fucking people, I gave you the perfect rule book. I don't know. It must be like how parents feel. When they're like, I told that motherfucker if he goes in there and disrespects that teacher, she's going to give him an F. And what did he do? He disrespected her, and then he got an F, and now he's bitching to me about it. I wonder if that's what God feels like when he's getting some of these prayers, where he's like, dude, I told you what to fucking do. I told you to be nice to each other. Don't just tolerate everything and let people be evil or whatever, but be nice and try to correct the behavior, and you're just not doing any of it, dude. He must be so goddamn pissed, It's like when you get in trouble at school, when you're a kid or whatever, and your dad's just like, God, I told you not to do that. And he's just like rubbing his forehead, being like, oh my fucking, what did I tell you to do? That's how God must be feeling right now. Like, God, I fucking, yeah. There's some fucking church group out there that's like, God, please bring an end to abortion. Please, please, let all the aborted babies into heaven. Please, God, please. And he's like, dude, I told you how to deal with this situation already. I sent my son down there. I sent my boy down there, who's basically kind of me at the same time. And he fucking told you what to do, and you're still messing about. Go in there, flip some tables, whip some bitches, and let's get this show on the road. That's what I would be saying if I was God. I'd be like, Gabriel or Peter or whatever angel, go down there and just tell him to fucking whip these guys into shape. He must be a little bit frustrated. We should be glad that he's not a lot frustrated, because last time he got a lot frustrated with the situation, it was a pool day. It was open swim. You know what I mean? Last time God got really upset about the shit that was going on down here. So we should be glad that he's probably only like a little bit upset right now. That he's not like full on gamer raging, throwing his controller on the ground. Which sometimes it does feel like he's doing that. Sometimes it just feels like he's playing the game, being like, all right, got to figure this whole Earth thing out. These people are doing this and that or whatever. And he's playing the game. And then, the AI or whatever fucks up, and he just starts smashing the controller. And it's like, hurricane, hurricane, hurricane. Earthquake in Bangladesh. 9,000 people just died. Sometimes it does feel a little bit like that. And I empathize with that situation. I really do empathize with God's, gamer rage situation that he's going through, because I've been going through that a lot lately. I've been replaying Ready or Not, which, if you don't know, it's this SWAT team game, but it's like super, I guess, grounded. Not realistic, I don't think is the correct term, but it's grounded. You get shot like 2 times and you're dead. There's no like highlighting enemies or seeing them through walls or whatever. There's no insane guns. It's literally just you with an AR-15, a pistol, and a group of guys, and you're going in there and you're doing SWAT team shit. And I've been replaying it, and anyone that's ever played that game before, I'm on the hospital mission right now. In the first playthrough, I think I died maybe once or twice on that hospital mission, and then I beat it. I don't think I captured the guy at Asir Zazan or whatever, whoever the fuck you're supposed to capture on that mission. I don't think I captured him, but I was able to beat the mission, dude. The last, I think it's maybe been 3 attempts so far. It's like 1 attempt a day, because if I attempt it more than 1 time a day, someone's dying. If I lost that mission 2 times in a single day, I would just walk up to my roommate, him sitting in his chair, and like snap his neck, dude. I would just be raging so hard. And it's frustrating. It's because the last 3 or 4 times, however many times it's been that I've retried it, I get like 2 enemies away from fully completing the mission, and it just makes me rage so much. And I do have a pretty, not like super serious case of gamer voice, but I do get a pretty bad, showing of gamer voice when I really rage at that stuff. And for me, the thing about my gamer voice is like, it's just not as bad as when other people get it, because I already kind of sound not exactly like that, but I'd say like similar to that. I already kind of have like a nasally-ish, nerdy-ish voice. So when I go full gamer voice, it's not, comparatively, it's not that bad. But I got this one roommate, and he has like stage 4 gamer voice, full on gamer voice. Full on, like, oh my god, dude, what the fuck? What the fuck is that? Like, that skit that Jersky did, he fully has gamer voice. And it's like, he doesn't, it's not like me where I kind of talk like that already. He doesn't talk like that at all, is it? And he's so loud with it. It's the same dude that's constantly screaming. And his gamer voice is very loud, and it's late stage. I would say he has terminal gamer voice. Like, it's like when you're a kid and you're making a face, and your parents like, if you keep making that fucking face, you're going to get stuck like that. I think that's what he's dealing with gamer voice right now, where it's like, dude, if you keep raging at, Call of Duty or whatever, you're just going to have permanent gamer voice, and you're just fully going to be talking all the time in full gamer voice, like talking to a chick, being like, yeah, I'm going to fuck that I'm going to fuck the shit out of you. Yeah. And it's bad. And everyone gets gamer voice. once again, it's kind of like a shit fart or whatever, or fart shit. I don't know what term I use for it, but it's everyone gets it, dude. Something about the video games when you play them, they just imbue the spirit of the nerd in you. Like every fucking, you know, neck bearded, glasses wearing dweeb who coded that game, their spirit is in the game. You know what I mean? They poured their heart and soul into this game, and so their spirit's in there. And so when you play the game, it infects you with their spirit, and you just get like a touch of it. You know, it's like possession. You know, I think the answer to the gamer voice then in that situation is exorcisms, dude. Which I'm sure there's some like what's it called? The Westboro Baptist Church. I could almost say 100% for a fact that the Westboro Baptist Church has done an exorcism on like one of the kids because he had just such extreme gamer voice that the parents of the kid was like, "We got it. He's possessed by a demon, dude. No way this isn't a demon. He's in there 24 hours a day talking just completely differently than he normally talks, dude. We got to get the demon out of this young man." I can almost guarantee you that they're doing shit like that, and they love it. That's that's the thing about the Westboro Baptist Church is that they love doing that shit. And if you don't know the Westboro Baptist Church, that's what's his Fred Phelps, I think is the guy who founded it, whatever his name is. It's like the super like their main focus, which I always found I always just thought this was funny, but they're like the main focus of their church is like hating gay people and like God hates fags and all that stuff. They're the ones that came up with God hates fags. And that to me was always just it's always the funniest one to focus on for me. Like the whole gay thing because I get the gays are a little bit out of control, you know. And I don't fault them for that. You know, the boys just got like the legal and like social cultural freedom to, you know, do what they want to do. So I don't fault them too much for going hog wild, but I think we got to tone the whole thing down, dude. Think I think we got to tone the whole thing down and not even the flamboyancy of it all. I don't think we have to tone down, you know, if you're gay, listening to Nicki Minaj and doing like that walk thing that they do and with their hands. You guys know what I'm talking about, where they like put their hands out. It's almost like they're doing the Macarena or some shit. You guys have seen gay people do that shit before. I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about the sexual aspect of it all. You know, we got to really calm that down. And the pride parades are part of it. That is part of it. You know, you pulling up, getting on the back of a float, and just going around basically butt naked with leather on or whatever. Yeah, we got to put the kibosh on that situation. And granted, that's not just the gays doing that, dude. The straights are heavily involved in that situation. Same with the bisexuals. The only people who I feel like are like truly exempt from that are the lesbians, which once again proven they're the best ones. The lesbians are out here beating their wives, watching sports, driving Subarus. I mean, just everything they do is correct. The lesbians are always right about everything. You know, that's if I ever if we ever had like a female president or whatever, I would pray to God that she's a lesbian because that's the only, you know, woman I would trust in that situation. You know, and uh, that's not saying much because I don't really trust women at all. Like the fact to me that we gave women the right to vote before we gave the right to vote to black men is crazy to me. Because look, do I trust either of those groups to make a rational decision about anything ever? No. No, I do not trust black people or women to be smart or make a rational decision about anything. But if I had to choose between the two, it's a tough battle. You know what I mean? We got two toilets full of shit. No. I combine the two. I combine the woman hating and the fucking racism into one, and I've just become too powerful. Um, but no, and even ignoring the racism and the misogyny and all that stuff, a black dude at the end of the day is still just like a dude, right? So even if you are racist, it's like, all right, at least that's still a dude. So let's give that dude the right to vote before we give this chick the right to vote. Do you see where I'm coming from here? Where I think for most people, myself included, the misogyny outweighs the racism, you know? Because yeah, I just think it does. Because the differences between a black dude and a white dude, not that much, dude. Not that much of a difference. Looking at it from a racist perspective, obviously from a not racist perspective, still a few differences, but nothing serious, you know. But looking at it from a racist perspective, if I was racist, okay, let me just put it like this: I would be misogynistic before I would be racist, and I'm currently both. So so that doesn't really matter too much. But if it was like if I had to choose one or the other, I'm choosing misogyny all day. What are we doing here, guys? I'm 100% choosing misogyny every single day of the week over racism. 100% for a multitude of reasons. You know, with the racism thing, there's a little bit of fear I think that goes along with that. There's a little bit of fear that goes along with racism for a couple reasons. One, there's no such thing as an all woman neighborhood, right? There's no such thing as that. There is such a thing as an all black neighborhood, though. So you got right away, if you're choosing racism over misogyny, you're already limited in your geographical uh, ability to, travel and go to places and be racist and stuff like that. So that's already one reason not to choose racism over misogyny. And the second reason, and this is the most obvious reason, you're just gonna get your ass beat. You're probably gonna get your ass whooped by a black dude or a group of black dudes. You know, so that's why you got to choose misogyny over racism. It's like if I go up to a woman and call her a dumb cunt or whatever, theoretically, if I was to do that, um, theoretically, if I was to do that, I'm not too worried about getting my ass beat, But if I go up and I say the N word or whatever, in that situation, I'm more worried about getting my ass beat. Not necessarily just because it's a black dude, but because it's just a dude in general, right? Whereas misogyny, if you're misogynistic, you're really only getting the women upset. And it's like, what are they going to do? They're going to make a fucking, petition online? Okay. That's whatever. Go make your petition online, I guess. They're going to make a new niche group of TikToks about me. It's going to be like, I don't know, independent learning talk or whatever. I don't give a shit, dude. But a black dude or a black woman or just a black person, no, black dude. I think a black woman is going to have the same reaction as a white woman. You know what I mean? It might be a little bit more vocal, I think as a group, black women are a little bit more vocal, but not that much more. Everyone's always making fun of black women for like being loud and annoying in public, dude. I don't know. From my experiences, white women can be just as annoying, more annoying even. So, but a black dude, he's gonna beat your ass because he's a dude, right? And he's not gonna take that disrespect. Whereas a woman, yeah, she might try to do her fucking, $15 an hour self defense on you, but that clearly doesn't work. I mean, let's look at the statistics. Rape still exists, so that's not gonna work. And I'm not saying I'm gonna rape her, but what I am saying is, I'm not scared of getting my ass beat in that situation at all. So that's another reason why I'm choosing misogyny over racism. And once again, I think I'm choosing misogyny over homophobia once again for the same reason. Although I do fear the gays a little bit more than I do the blacks. Um, for the simple fact of the rape is on the door, or it's on the table. It's at the door, it's on the table. It's an option for them. It's like I go up to a guy, call him a fag or whatever, like for real, like homophobic, call him a fag, and he was like, "I'm gonna beat your ass now." First of all, gay dudes, typically the good ones, I don't know if that's the right word, but tend to be an in shape group of people. They tend to work out. even if they're not necessarily hitting, biceps and chest and stuff like that and back, the thing that's going to give you a really powerful punch, they're training lower body a whole bunch, because they got to have a nice bubble butt so they can get fucked in the ass. So they're training lower body a whole bunch, and as much as you watch the UFC or whatever, you're still not prepared for that kick. And the gay dudes, they got that kick. Once again, they're out there dancing, lifting weights, so that they're strong and they're flexible in the legs. So a gay dude could just full on Billy Jack you, hit you right in the chin, knock you right the fuck out. So another reason why I'm choosing misogyny over every other, type of bigotry. It's the least risk involved. Um it's the funniest one, I think, in my personal opinion, because a lot of the old jokes about women would be about like specific types of women, right? Like the blonde joke thing. There's not a whole bunch of jokes about like just women in general. Although, I mean, every single fucking comedy special that has come out from every shitty fucking butt ass comedian who got famous on Kill Tony, every single one of those guys is making a whole lot of misogyny jokes just about women in general. But I do think there's a lot more material there than there is with the blacks, right? Because we had about, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the history of this country. We had about, what would that be? 170 years there where they weren't like considered people or whatever. And I'm going full Jim Crow, that whole era. I'm including that as well. So that's 170 years where they were making just every joke in the fucking book that you could make about it, right? I think that's why people are upset by blackface. I don't think it's the fact that you're like mocking black people or whatever. I think they're just tired of it. It's like, dude, we already had 170 years of blackface. All right, so can we just like kind of cut it out a little bit? I think that's why people are upset at blackface, because no one cares when you do whiteface, and obviously the reason why people care less is because um there's just not as much of a precedent there, right? Like, if I think if we invented blackface, if it was invented in 2025, people would have less of a problem with it. But I think it's just been done into the ground. I don't think it's a thing of people just thinking it's the most offensive thing on earth or whatever. I think they're just sick and tired of it. They're like, dude, we already played this game 1,000 1,000 times. We did it there for about 100. It was the only form of entertainment, dude. From the founding of this country up until the end of Jim Crow, the only form of entertainment that existed in America was a white dude pretending to be black. That was the funniest thing we could come up with for 150 years there. So I do think that's the big reason why everyone's sick and tired of blackface. It's just the simple fact that it's been done into the ground. We got to come up with something new. I haven't seen anyone do Filipino face. I have seen people do Mexican face. In the original Django movie, not Django Unchained, but Django Unchained is, I guess, based on. No, it's clearly based. Quentin Tarantino just, instead of a black dude, or instead of a white dude, Quentin Tarantino just made it a black dude, and he changed a lot of other things about it, but pretty similar fucking story. But in that movie, it came out, I think, almost in 1970. It's a full color movie. But in that movie, it's a spaghetti western, so they obviously filmed it in Italy, and they didn't hire any Mexicans to play the Mexicans. It's just clearly Italian dudes with fucking shoe polish on their face, which, once again, looking at it from a racist perspective, I put the Italians beneath the Mexicans, because at least the Mexicans live in like the general correct area of the world, right? They live right next to America. Obviously, America's number one, so Mexico, they're choosing to live here close to us. They're right along with us. You know what I mean? The Italians are over there in shitty ass Europe, doing whatever dumb fucking ideology is gripping that continent. That's the thing about Europe. Europe is just like in a perpetual state of extreme ideologies, right? Like for 1,000 years there, it was like monarchy, and colonialism and all that stuff. And then for a little bit there, it was kind of split. We had the fascists, and then we had like the socialists. And now it's just, I don't even know what the ideology is in Western Europe now. I literally I don't know what it is. It's just Let's bring in as many people from third world countries as possible. That's the new ideology in Europe. And they just, like they did with, communism and fascism and, monarchies and feudalism and all that stuff, they're just gripping onto it as tight as they can, or at least the government is. The government is just gripping onto that ideology as strongly as they can, being like, I don't care what's going on. I need 1 million fucking people from the Central African Republic in London by tomorrow. I need them here. Like, that's what, like, the governmental situation is in Europe, and that's what it's always been. Anyone who's studied the history of Europe knows they're not giving that up or the government at least isn't giving that up anytime soon. Because they hold on to these ideologies as tightly as possible until a war comes around, and then they just completely switch the ideology. So, yeah, not a great situation going on there in Europe right now. I don't know if you guys are familiar with what's going on in Europe, but it's not super good. It's not good at all. And the thing about it is they saw this coming. They saw this whole thing coming because after World War I, France imported just a bunch of people, black dudes from their colonies, which those are just third world countries, essentially. And they imported a bunch of those dudes to defend the Rhineland, which, if you don't know, that's kind of like the area right next to Germany. Because France was like, okay, Germany's going to come back after us. Let's just put these black dudes here as like cannon fodder. Shitty, right? Shouldn't have done that one. But then the black dudes just like raped a ton of women. They just raped like thousands of women. Because they're from a third world country, dude. They grew up in, like, you can't even comprehend what they grew up in. So they're like, okay, well, now I have a gun and I'm just surrounded by pussies. Not like literal vaginas, but just like everyone that's from where they're from is just like a hard, tough ass motherfucker. That's like, oh, you want to rape my wife? Well, I'll beat you to death with a fucking piece of wood, right? That's the environment that these dudes come from. And so now you put them in this new environment where it's like a bunch of fucking faggy ass French dudes being like, oh no, please do not rape my wife or whatever. You put them in that situation. Obviously, they're not, the vast majority of them are going to be like, no, dude, I don't rape people. I'm just not into that. But then you got enough of them where it's like, who's here to stop me now? Once again, they grew up in a situation where it was like, you do this, you are going to get fucking drugged through, the town center or whatever. That's what they grew up in. And now it's just like French dudes, sitting cross-legged reading books being like, don't do it, no. And so, of course, they're going to rape people because there's no one there to stop them. All right? So if you put a bunch of white dudes in a situation, put 1 million white dudes over there, some of them are going to rape the chicks. Because there's no one there to stop them now. I don't know what I was getting at there, but the point of that is if you bring in 1 million people from a third world country that are just so used to general oppression, right? And just like the threat of violence, and then you put them in a situation where there's no threat of violence at all, and there's really not even a threat of jail in a lot of these situations, yeah, they're going to be raping people. So Europe didn't learn their lesson first time around. Now they're learning their lesson again. You import a bunch of people from the third world, they're not just going to magically change because you put them in a new country. It's not the way things work. People are going to say that's racist or whatever. I don't know. I feel like if you took a bunch of Albanians or whatever, or people from like Romanians, that whole shitty area, the Balkans, you take a bunch of them, put them in a fucking country where they're not going to face any, death or anything like that, they're going to get to raping too, dude. I think everyone's going to be getting a raping if they're from that situation. All right. Let's stop with that. And let's read about some stuff that's going on in the news. Fuck me. God damn it. Of course, the fucking first article. This article is only available to subscribers. Well, no one's going to subscribe to your shitty online newspaper, so we're just going to go with a Trump one. I didn't want to go with a Trump one. I'm just so sick and tired of his ass. All the people being like, oh, he's a dictator, he's a king, or it's like, first of all, what country were you in for the past 20 years where there wasn't just people blatantly violating our constitutional rights. I don't know. And the other thing about Trump is the No Kings protest. And first of all, the main reason why that pisses me off is it's just a shitty fucking slogan altogether. Because it's the Dems being hypocrites. And I think the Republicans are hypocrites too, but the Dems are just being hypocrites again. First they had their whole believe science thing, and then when science said Tylenol may be linked to autism, they were like, I'm gonna chug as much Tylenol as I can, or what is it? Acetaminophen? Is that Tylenol? Whatever it is. They're like, I'm just gonna do this because And it's the same reason why uh the Republicans were like, I'm not gonna wear a mask, I'm not gonna get a vaccine, I'm gonna cough on as many people as possible. It's the same. Both of these groups are doing it for the same reason, and that reason is I hate you so much that I will kill as many people as it takes to fucking just prove my hate for you. That's why these people are taking Tylenol and shit like that. And once again, this may be the same as the coronavirus situation where it's just like, it's just not real at all. Not that coronavirus wasn't real, but the vaccines clearly didn't work. The masks didn't do anything. The 6 feet thing was complete bullshit. So the Tylenol thing might be the same, but you got to be consistent in what you're saying. And the other thing, the No Kings thing, is so like hypocritical, and like it's almost like a satirical level of irony for a multitude of reasons. First of all, Joe Biden, quid pro Joe, uh, he was fucking with Ukraine for a while. He was withholding aid from them unless they did what he wanted them to do. I don't know if Trump did that. I think they'd be calling him a tyrannical fucking, dictator, empirical, whatever. Um, so there's that. First of all, the other guy was doing a lot of the same things. And the other thing about it is the no Kings protest. Obviously, it's the same as all like the Democrats, social movements, where it's like a corporate thing, right? That's what the No Kings protest is. It's all everything with the Democrats. It's all some weird corporate bullshit. And the No Kings protests aren't any different. Those things are funded by George Soros. And I was doing some research into George Soros, and if you're wondering, yes, he is. Yes, he is one. So if you were wondering, you were thinking Soros, is that kind of sounds like Italian or Mexican to me? No, he's one of them, dude. He's one of the chosen people. But that's kind of irrelevant even to the situation. He's like a private equity billionaire. And not only is he a private equity billionaire, he's a private equity billionaire who was convicted, not accused, not charged with, convicted of insider trading, dude. Do you know how egregious your insider trading has to be to get convicted in this fucking country? Dude, we have people in Congress that are worth $250 million based off their fucking stock portfolios that are outperforming not the NASDAQ, whatever. I don't fucking know. Those other investment portfolios that exist out there. The major ones. Although I think the Roth IRA is an investment portfolio. Some shit like that. They're outperforming even the other people who are also insider trading. It's egregious, dude. But George Soros was doing it so blatantly and so egregiously that he got convicted of it. I don't think he went to jail. I think he just like paid a fine that was like 1% of what he made or whatever. And he's still a private equity guy, I'm pretty sure, although he's like 98 years old. So I don't know how he's still holding on to life, dude. He must be sacrificing a fucking baby every morning to Moloch, dude. That must be George Soros' morning cup of coffee. He's just like, all right, give me the baby. I'm going to kill this thing, drink its adrenochrome, and then Moloch will have its corpse. I think that's what George Soros is doing every single morning. And so it's like you're going out there to protest a guy that you view as being, a monarchy figure in a way. But when you're going out there and doing that, it's being backed by an oligarch. And neither of those, to me, both of those things are just as bad. At least with the whole king situation, you might get a dude who's like chill, right? Like there's been some good kings, some good emperors and stuff in history. So even if it is a king, you might get a dude who's chill. An oligarch literally only cares about about accumulating as much wealth as possible. So I think the oligarchy is worse than monarchy. So yeah, it's just very stupid to me. It's just so dumb being like, I'm gonna go out there and protest this king, and it's like, well, you got all these organizers together. How did they get together? How was this whole situation dealt with? Who made the calls? And it was like, oh, people who were paid by an oligarch. And it's like, well, god damn, guys. Hey, look, I know what they're gonna say. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Sun Tzu lived like a billion fucking years ago. All right, look, Sun Tzu, he had some pretty solid rules in there. Not everything he did was 100% correct. The enemy of your enemy is not always your friend. We learned this in World War II with the Soviet Union. We've learned this lesson over and over again. We learned this with the Mujahideen and all that bullshit. The enemy of your enemy is not your friend. We learned it with the Viet Cong and the Viet Minh and all that stuff. So, yeah, it's just retarded in general. But, and I don't know what I was talking about there, but I think I was just talking about how I don't want to talk about Trump because it's so goddamn annoying. But we're going to have to, dude. There is so many. He's just dominating the news, and it's very annoying. And this is from Al Jazeera, which I don't fucking know what that is at all. It looks Arabic in nature, so I guess the bias to look here is what would the Arabs have against Trump? So, why has Trump ended trade talks with Canada over a Reagan advertisement? The fact Canada should be on its knees, sucking our dicks, thanking us for even considering talking to them about anything in the first place. I'm sick and tired of the Canadians and their bullshit. I'm done with it, dude. Canada, the only reason you exist in the first place is because of us. All right? Your existence is predicated on our existence. If America, and same with most of the world, if America gets fucked up, everybody's getting fucked up. All right? If America gets fucked up, then Canada's really getting fucked up. They're probably going to get fucked up worse than we're getting fucked up. And I'm not even talking about a war, economy, anything, whatever it is. You're getting fucked up worse than us. So I'm kind of sick and tired of Canada playing the big bad wolf here, but like, oh, you go put tariffs on us, Trump. We're gonna put a tariff on you, and it's like, oh, no more fucking poutine or whatever. Suck my dick. I don't care what Canada. I don't care what threats Canada makes to the United States of America. Doesn't matter to me at all. You know, China, yeah, I'm a little bit intimidated by that. Russia, not in the slightest. It's really only China that makes me scared about anything, whether it's, you know, economics or war or whatever it is. It's the only country that can even touch us. And the only reason they're able to do that, goddamn, and the only reason they're able to even do that in the first place is because they just fucked each other so much that they have a billion more people than us. It's the only reason China could touch us. If China had the same amount of people that America does, no, I would not be threatened by them at all. And Canada has like, I think like a tenth of the people who that America has, or maybe it's a little more than a tenth. Maybe it's like 15-20%, but it's fucking peanuts compared to us. California has more people than Canada, and also like 15% of people who live in Canada will flee that country the fucking second America threatens anything. The second anything goes wrong, dude. I think it's 15% of that country is people from other countries. So it's like they're just going to leave immediately. And Canada doesn't have that ethos that America has where it's like, baby, you touch down here, you're one of us, right? America has that ethos about it. We're losing it slightly. As you know, as globalization spreads and gets more powerful, a lot of countries are losing that sense of like national pride or like ethnic pride or whatever it is. A lot of people are losing that shit. But I mean, Canada never had that in the first place. You know, you never heard like a Canadian president. Do they have a president or is it a prime minister? Whatever bullshit ass fucking, you know, system of government they have, and whoever leads it was never like, if you are born in America or if you are born in Canada, then you are Canadian. You know, they never had that bullshit, even if it's true, which I don't know if it is or not. America has that. It's like, dude, I don't care if your mom fucking hopped that border fence and shit you out on a piece of desert somewhere. If you're born here, you're one of us. America has that just ethos about it. Once again, we're losing it a little bit, but Canada never had that shit. So if anything gets fucked up in Canada at all, Brigitte and his fucking family of 18 people are leaving immediately. So let's make that abundantly clear, Canada. If we take one step into your country, you're losing 15% of your people immediately before we fire a single shot. So let's make that clear right goddamn now. But let's see what Canada has to say about this shit. So a Canadian premier has launched an ad campaign in the U.S. showing former President Ronald Reagan opposing tariffs. An advertisement released in the United States by Canada's biggest province featuring former U.S. President Ronald Reagan has set off new tensions between Washington and Ottawa. God. I mean, in Ottawa, that's their capital city. I mean, Ottawa's just such a shitty fucking name for a city, dude. I live in Kansas, and there's a town in Kansas called Ottawa, Kansas, and it's a butt-ass city. It fucking sucks dicks, dude. And it's like, so I could only imagine how much shittier the fucking Canadian version of that is. Um, and so, which has already had icy relations over President Trump's tariff policy. In a post on Truth Social on Thursday, that's so funny. Truth Social, Trump claimed that the advertisement, which shows Reagan, a fellow Republican, speaking negatively about tariffs as an economic policy, was fake. God damn it, dude! You can't stop him. Trump is a fucking toddler. Have you, anyone that's ever been around a toddler before, and you're like, did you fucking spill that? Did you get into the candy and spill the bucket over or whatever? No, I can see your hands covered in chocolate right now. I know you did that. No, I didn't. I did. It was the dog did that. Okay, well, if the dog eats chocolate, then it's gonna die. So you better tell me whether or not it was you who fucking spilled that bucket of candy. I didn't do it. It wasn't me. That's literally Trump's game plan, is to be like, nope, no, yeah, no. It's the toddler game plan, and you gotta respect it. Let's see what he said, though. He cited comments by the Ronald Reagan Foundation that described the clip of the former president used in the commercial as doctored. Ooh, so he might have had. This might have been the one time where Trump being like, nope, fake. It might have actually been true this time. So Trump also said the advertisement was aimed at influencing U.S. courts. Based on their egregious behavior, all trade negotiations with Canada are hereby terminated. Trump wrote. God damn it, he's so funny. It just reminds me of how people on like sports Twitter talk where they're like, fire Andy Reid now. And it's like as if you have the authority to say that. As if Trump has the authority to just completely like disband all, Canadian and American, trade relations and stuff like that. Get Joel Embiid off the court now. That's how he talks, too. It is so funny. So, why is the advertisement creating tensions between the U.S. and Canada? Here's what we know. So, on October 14th, Doug Ford, the premier of Ottawa, god damn it, just say senator or some shit, and that's the premier of Ontario, which is the province, said he would spend 75 million Canadian dollars, which is only 54 million USD. Which, once again, dude, step your fucking game up. How is your dollar weaker than ours, dude? We're literally in an economic crisis and we're outperforming them. So he's going to spend 54 million USD to run an anti-tariff advertisements on mainstream channels in the US. Ford has been a critic of Trump's tariff policy, and Ontario, known for its steel industry, has been severely hit by US levies. Ontario is home to more than a third of Canada's population and the biggest city, Toronto. Yeah, I'm not scared by this. I don't think Trump is scared by this. God, it's just Canada. Stop acting like this, dude. So what are we doing here, Canada? We've kind of had enough of your bullshit. I've talked about invading you before, just nuking the shit out of you guys and then just throwing our prisoners there like Australia or whatever. And I think we should do that. And no one's going to come to Canada's defense, dude. America's Canada's best ally, and we don't give a fuck about them. We don't, right? Because we don't have to. There's no risk of Canada being invaded by really anyone except for us. So, yeah, Canada, shut your goddamn mouth. All right, and look, not a big Trump guy. Really don't like the guy at all. But I hate Canada even more. I'm just so sick and tired of their bullshit. And I consider them European, That's just what I think about the Canadians. They have Like I was talking about earlier with like the European policy of just let's bring as many people from third world countries as possible. Canada's doing the same shit. To be fair, we're doing a little bit of it, not nearly as much. And we're at least trying to bring it to an end. But Canada's doing that shit. They have like the whole prime minister bullshit system. They fucking have free healthcare, that dumbass fucking idea. that that retarded idea of making sure the people of your country are taken care of. But they are European. They're just not like Mexico is closer to America than Canada is. And the reason most people don't like realize that is because people from Mexico speak Spanish and they're brown and they're not white. But Canada really is, or Mexico really is closer than us to us than Canada is. God damn, my nose is stuffy as hell right now. All right, and then our next article here is from CBS News. So that's your bias there, Israel. let's call a spade here. CBS's news bias is that they're run by Israel. So, states warn SNAP, which is like I guess that's what they call EBT now. I don't fucking know. Benefits may stop in November if government shutdown continues. States are warning struggling Americans who rely on food stamps to pay groceries that they may miss out on benefits come November. Starting October 16th, SNAP, Supplemental Nutrition Assistance, which is just an insane name, dude. So if it really was the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, we'd be giving these motherfuckers bags of rice and shit like that. It would look like fucking UNICEF out there, which that's like the UN group that like goes to Zimbabwe and gives them, the, what is it? Corn soy blend, the fortified corn soy blend. That's UNICEF, dude. If this really was just about giving people the nutrition they needed, it would be like, here's a can of fucking Campbell's Chunky Soup, dude. And look, the reason why that doesn't happen is because the government doesn't care about these people's health. They just want to keep them like placated, and they're just fine with them, poisoning themselves by drinking, 1,000 grams of sugar a day or whatever it is. But the name is insane, dude. Supplemental nutrition. These people, there's barely any nutritious food left in the U.S., and these people aren't getting any nutrition from what they're eating. So these benefits will not be paid until the government shutdown ends and funds are released to PA. So I guess Pennsylvania. This is a statement from Pennsylvania. Yeah, reads a notice from the Pennsylvania state website. New Jersey, Maryland, New York, and Texas are among other states who have issued similar notices. The wave of announcements come after the U.S. Department of Agriculture, which oversees the federal food stamp programs, issued a letter to state agencies on October 10th saying that if the lapse in appropriation continues, there will be insufficient funds to pay full November SNAP benefits. So I guess that's them being like, hey, if we keep giving, these people $1,000 a fucking month, then we're just going to stop doing it. Which, should people have food? Yeah, that's right. Or at least people in America. It's not America's responsibility to feed the entire world. Although some people would have you think that it's not our responsibility, but it is our responsibility to feed the fucking people who live here. I don't think that's like a socialist or like a far left thing to say. Yeah, I think people should get a fucking box of Hamburger Helper every once in a while. I don't know. Call me fucking Stalin for thinking that, but I think people who live in America, Americans should get food. Maybe not people who just like live here, but Americans should get food for free if they need it. All right. So, reached for a comment. The White House referred CBS News to the USDA, which then shared the letter it sent to the states. Both declined to comment on what a lapse in funding could mean for millions of Americans who rely on the program. And this is just, once again, America, the government just doesn't do shit right, ever. They just cannot figure it out for the life of them. They can't just be like, all right, here's your rice and ground beef for the week. Figure it out. Or just give them MREs or some shit like that. Instead, it's like, it has to be either of the two extremes. It's like either we give these people as much money as we possibly can give them without this fucking entire thing collapsing in on itself and let them buy whatever they want, or no one gets anything at all. Those seem to be the only two options for fucking the government to figure this shit out, right? Same with everything else they do. Same with immigration. Either we let literally everyone in or we gun people down as they try to cross the border, you know? And it's like, I don't know. Maybe we just, maybe we try to figure out a decent solution to the issue. And it's like, no. I'd rather score as many fucking political points as I possibly can. Um, but yeah, that's the end of this episode. I got to record another episode right after this. But I hope you guys have a good day, a good week, a good year, a good life, and I'll see you guys in the next episode, which is going to come out on Monday. So, peace out.